High-level radioactive waste is being stored along the Lake Michigan shoreline.
Now, the federal government and the industry say that it's safe and it's temporary, even though the waste from the area's 2 nuke plants has been stored on site for decades. Others say doesn't belong there, needs to go. Fox 11's Robert Hornacek has a balanced look as he continues his special report on the future of nuclear power.
It's one of the biggest issues facing the nuclear power industry: what to do with the radioactive waste.
Ultimately, you're going to have to bury it.
That was supposed to happen 11 years and several $1 billion ago. While the federal government tries to find a solution, local power plants are forced to keep their waste on site.
It's contained, it's monitored, and it's safe.
But some people who live near the plants say the waste wasn't part of the deal.
It's just not right. We're being dumped on.
This is video from the 1990s inside the Point Beach nuclear power plant. Once fuel rods are no longer used to generate electricity, they're stored in these pools. The water is used to cool the rods and shield the workers and the environment from radiation. After 5 years in the pools, some of the rods are transferred into dry cask storage. The radioactive waste is sealed inside a metal cylinder, which is then enclosed in a metal or concrete shell.
It's a dump, it's a nuclear waste dump, and the town should be compensated for it.
David Hartke is the town chairman in Carlton, home of the Kewanee Power Station. In August, the plant, which is located right along Lake Michigan, began storing spent fuel rods above ground in huge concrete and steel casks.
I don't know if people know that, but there's high-level nuclear waste sitting 50 yards from the best freshwater body of water in this world. And it's just sitting there on a concrete pad.
Dry cask storage is safe.
Democratic State Representative Jim Seletsky worked at the Kewanee Power Station for more than 20 years. He says the storage at Kewanee is more like 100 yards from the lake.
The amount of waste, is really a small amount.
A few miles away, more spent fuel rods are being stored at the Point Beach nuclear power plant. Point Beach started storing the waste in dry casks in the 1990s. This is video from the mid-90s of one of those casks being built. Seletsky says the storage at Point Beach is about 700 yards from the lake.
If Lake Michigan got that close to it, we'd have a lot more troubles to worry about than just nuclear spent dry cask storage.
The on-site storage was supposed to be temporary.
When they first put it out there, we thought that, but as we're moving on, I'm not so sure anymore.
Lee Engelbrecht is the town chairman in Two Creeks, which is right down the road from Point Beach.
It is probably a risk. I think everybody living around here feels fairly safe with it, but it doesn't belong here. That's our feeling.
According to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the casks are safe and environmentally sound. The casks are designed to withstand floods, tornadoes, projectiles, and temperature extremes. We wanted to show you what the dry cask storage looks like at both plants, but our cameras were not allowed on the property of Point Beach or Kewanee. In fact, we spent more than 1 month contacting the plants to try to talk with them for this story, but neither would sit down for an interview. Advocates for nuclear power like Republican State Representative Phil Montgomery have no problem with the on-site storage.
Where it is stored right now in the dry cask storage is perfectly safe. There has never been a death, an accident, or an injury associated with the storage or transportation of spent nuclear fuel. So it is entirely safe there.
While some environmentalists like Katie Nicola from Clean Wisconsin say a long-term solution needs to be found.
Of course we need a plan. We need safe geologic storage for the nuclear waste that's being generated.
Professor Michael Corradini is the chairman of the nuclear engineering program at UW-Madison. He says the waste needs to be buried deep underground.
The honest answer is the ultimate resting place would have to be geological disposal. It's solid material. There's no place, you're not going to burn it. You're not going to throw it into space. You're not going to throw it in the ocean. So you've got to bury it somewhere, just like we bury all our current waste, which is solid. So it's got to be buried.
That was the plan for more than 30 years. The federal government even had a site all picked out, Yucca Mountain in Nevada, about 100 miles northwest of Las Vegas. The waste was going to be put deep underground in tunnels. We even paid for some of it already. Utility customers have paid more than $16 billion into the Nuclear Waste Fund. More than $350 million of that came from us here in Wisconsin. But the plan has been plagued with politics. Earlier this year, the Obama administration put what may be the final nail in the Yucca Mountain coffin. The plan was essentially scrapped as the federal government devises a new strategy for nuclear waste disposal. We wanted to know what the owners of Wisconsin's nuclear plants thought about the federal government pulling the plug on Yucca Mountain, but neither plant would talk with us for this story. Town leaders near the plants aren't shy about their feelings.
I don't want the town of Carlton to be known as a high-level nuclear waste dump.
Towns like Carlton and Two Creeks are trying to force the issue. They want to start charging the plants for keeping the waste on site.
Towns that host landfills are compensated for that, so this would be no different, I feel.
For 35 years they told us it was not going to stay here, and now that they permanently shut down Yucca Mountain, it's here, and it's not leaving.
Montgomery says in the future, waste may not be an issue. That, he says, would lead to the development of more nuclear plants.
The next generation of nuclear power plants that are about 10 years away will be able to recycle that spent fuel. And so I think that will be the tipping point. Once people feel secure in the fact that the spent fuel is taken care of, I believe that'll be the tipping point.
In the meantime, town leaders are fed up and confused about what to believe.
Is it safe? Maybe. The federal government said to be safe, it had to go a mile under Yucca Mountain in the cast and sit there. But over here, it could just sit on top of a concrete pad out in the open. Which one is it?
Energy Secretary Stephen Chu has set up a special task force to come up with a plan to deal with nuclear waste. Chu has said the way the waste is being handled now, it can be safe for decades. He has also said nuclear power is an essential part of the nation's energy mix. Here in Wisconsin, we know nuclear power will be around at least until the year 2033. By then, both plants will be 60 years old. Beyond that, the future of nuclear power is yet to be written. Robert Hornacek, Fox 11 News.